You're listening to Gamedaytarps podcast, coast to coast, with your hosts, Ryley, Dakota, Dallas, Daeden, and Wilbs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gamedaytarps podcast. This is episode 42, an NHL season preview for the 2024-25 season. It's well underway. We're 2 days into the season, and there's definitely been lots to talk about, from Macklin Celebrini first goal to some new goalies signing, and it's just been a crazy start to the season. And we're going to do some standing predictions. Everything is all yet to be seen on Gamedaytarps podcast. So let's get this thing started, boys. How are we doing?
Great, man.
Doing pretty good day.
That's good. That's good to hear. So, Ryley, we were talking earlier before the podcast about some stuff. We do a fantasy. Why don't you bring up the stuff you were talking about, the fantasy? How many points did you get today?
102. Pure domination.
That's pretty good. That's pure domination from
although,
Mr. Harrison.
What am I, like 100 and something behind you? I think.
Yeah,
literally.
That doesn't matter.
No, sorry. I'm almost 100 behind Dallas is where I am. Like, we're 2 days into it, and somehow I'm 100 points behind. Like, Dallas is just dominating up top.
So I just drafted great, man. King mentality, you know. I knew who to grab.
McKinnon was the key choice at 1 overall, apparently.
Always is, buddy.
Anyways, Dallas, I see that jersey hanging behind you there. Why don't you bring him up? What happened to him recently?
All right, so some fight night at the Bayshore went down, and friend of the show, Connor Smith, really showed out against Ryder Bolton. And yeah, it was a tilt for the ages. It was pretty fucking awesome. They were going at it pretty hard, and you know what? Good to see a good old hockey fight. I'm still glad that the OHL hasn't banned fights permanently, because it's awesome to see.
I didn't know you were going to start off with that. I was honestly talking about him being named captain by the Owen Sound Attack, but yeah, it's still good. Good for Connor Smith. Got himself in a little tilly. We'll throw the video in here. Dallas will pop that in.
Yeah, so I was just going off of what was fresh, because that was literally like two nights ago now, right? So, so Connor Smith was named the next captain of the Owen Sound Attack, 24th captain in franchise history, after the departure of Colby Barlow being sent to the Oshawa Generals in a blockbuster trade. Now, it was confirmed that over the summer he has requested a trade out of the small market of Owen Sound, but honestly, it's a good pickup for the Oshawa Generals, who are trying to make it out of the Eastern Conference again this year and go back to the OHL Finals. But it's a great haul for Owen Sound, and it really has some guys stepping up this season. In case of Connor Smith, who is honestly the right guy for that role. He's a veteran defenseman in the OHL this season, and there's no better guy to lead the attack out onto the ice.
I mean, I don't want to say like we're good luck or anything, but you know, the 2 active CHL players we've had on the podcast are both captains now, Connor Smith and Brady Schultz. So, you know, anyone looking to be a CHL captain, just come on in the pod and you'll get that C slapped on you so fast you won't even know what to do with it. But
exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
And let's bring this back even like a couple weeks even prior to being named captain, and that big fight between him and Ryder Bolton there 2 nights ago. But he had a couple preseason games up there in SoCal. I was going to call it Southern California. Let's just go with SoCal.
Same thing.
Him and Brendan Hache of the San Jose Sharks, they got into a pretty good tilly, and that was a good fight. And they both patted each other on the back and saying good fight. Like, that's awesome sportsmanship right there. Like, that was a fight, man. That was a good old Donnybrook there. And then he got into another fight against a Kings player, and like he was having himself one hell of a preseason. So good job, Connor.
Yeah, they were
big
the
things
2
are coming.
in the preseason. Literally the 2 best fights in the preseason. And now he has the best fight of the CHL season to start it off. I do quickly as well, though, for everyone watching, if you've seen that video circulating around, it is most likely the one that was filmed behind the glass from our own Wilbs Again, you can see it at the bottom there, at Wilbs Puck. He was at the game live. He recorded that video. We are definitely throwing that in to give him some love. And, we appreciate him being boots on the ground there. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but that's all right. Obviously, he was, doing some important stuff a couple nights ago for us, so we appreciate it. And he did a great job catching that fight and showing
Wilbs
off.
didn't get credit for it. He needs to get credit for it.
He does. Absolutely. He shared it out to too many friends and it went viral with someone else. So we want him to get the credit that he deserves because, honestly, he did a great job filming it. We appreciate that he went and got that for himself, but also for this podcast to kind of grow as, we're out on the ground and we're getting some good content out there. So, yeah, thanks to Wilbs for that, and we're going to use it.
Yeah, and we're hoping, I'm sure between the three of us as well, like you and I out here out in the Western Hockey League, Ryley, like we're hoping to get to some Blazers game this season and try to get some good content in. And Daeden, you are getting a hell of a lot of content going with your schooling there, so that's awesome to see. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to the last 2 weeks as school has gotten underway in full swing.
Well, soon, actually tomorrow, I'm hoping to get some more content. It's the U of T men's hockey home opener against Queens and former Halifax Moosehead and Sudbury Wolf, Ethan Larmond. And so I'm hoping to maybe get some content there and overall just make as much content as I can. I am about to, as soon as this podcast is done, I'm going to make a video out of the videos I took tonight from the Western versus U of T game where Western blew them out 61-6. So, yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully we'll be seeing lots more of me from varsity arena this year.
Now, what would you say you enjoy most? Like, would you say you like being in the booth better or behind the camera out down on the field level?
Well, I mean, so far I haven't done any hockey games, and I really want to be in the booth for a hockey game.
Yeah.
But that being said, I've got the chance to work a lot of cameras, and I've become the guy, like, if anyone needs like a day off, I'll step in, I'll go do some camera work, and I've done like twice as many games as everyone has now. And
nice.
That camera that I showed you guys, that like it's on a backpack and it comes up like this over and like hangs down, and I control it like this. It's my favorite thing.
That's so cool.
And we call it Daeden Cam.
That's awesome. It's named after you. That's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. But yeah, anyways, it's pretty sick. I love doing camera. Getting the sick shots. If like you get the shot and then you see it up on the board, they play it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my angle. They used it for a replay. That's sick.
That's
so
awesome. Yeah, good for you.
So I noticed we were talking a little bit about off air that we're going to try to get into some standings predictions in the National Hockey League, but like this is something I couldn't leave out of the podcast for tonight's episode. Okay. There are some standout teams in the top 10 power rankings at even the CHL, but like one of them that is not there that I think should be an honorable mention is your Halifax Mooseheads Day back home. Like, what an incredible start for a team in the queue who everybody thought would be a rebuilder, not a contender. And look at them. And look at them now. They started the season 5-1 in their first 6 games.
Yeah.
Like, what an incredible start, eh?
Now they're 5-4.
Yeah, Ryley and I literally just talked about that before the podcast, bro. Like I said to Ryley, I was like, man, they started 5-1. They're a rebuilding team, and now I was at the football game, and during halftime, I just happened to tune into the Bathurst and Halifax game, and it was in overtime. A minute left in overtime, and guy comes down the wing, wraps it around the net, passes it out front, hits it off Russo's glove and into the net. And now the Moose are 5-4. Bathurst is now ahead of them in the standings. And my buddy that works for Bathurst has all the bragging rights over me now.
And here's another like thing too, right? Like you think of like teams that are rebuilding, but just kind of shock you, right? I mean, like obviously, like I said, incredible start to the season, may not be looking so hot right now. However, like let's talk about a team though, close to home, up the highway, up on Cape Breton Island, the Screaming Eagles. Now, they started the season 0-5 themselves for a contender. As a contender to be one of the top teams in the TELUS Maritime divisions this season. And what a surprise. Like, yeah, they got all their NHL prospects back. You know, captain by Newcomb, and Cam Squires coming back from the Jersey Devils prospects camp. But like, what an unfortunate sight to see on Hockey Island, where the Cape Breton Eagles were starting 0-5, and now they got to get out of this rut to try to compete back in a heavy East Division.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they're going to get back into it now that Cam Squires is back. I watched the game that they played against the Mooseheads. The Mooseheads beat them up. Jacob Newcomb was really the only player on the team that stood out to me, which is kind of cool. He came back from leukemia last year, which is pretty sick. Props to him. So, yeah, but the Eagles are definitely going to need a big start, and they shouldn't have traded away Ruchia. That's for sure.
He should have never went to Charlottetown, but yeah, we've discussed that before.
Maybe they're looking for an incoming trade soon.
Ryley Mercer from Drummondville.
Good player.
Great player, yeah.
Better be him, not Rousseau. Rousseau better stay in Halifax. He better finish his career as a Moosehead.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't traded now, it's only the deadline or nothing, right? Like,
yeah, well, Christmas time. Christmas time is big at
the World Juniors. That's right. When everyone comes back from World Juniors, it's the unofficial trade deadline. Really,
yeah.
It's when things turn on.
The rumor mill starts swirling. You start seeing it on Sportsnet, even that some of the big talents from the CHL are now being, broadcasted on the bottom there. And yeah, it's go time. Like, the rumor mill's starting to swirl, and guys are starting to get traded soon, just after the new year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. True. Who's it going to be this year, boys?
Everybody. It always is everybody. All the big names come back, and then they just get shipped out. If they're on a losing team, that is. If they're on the winning team, they obviously stay.
Well, even like a guy like Quentin Musty, like refusing to report back to Sudbury, and now he's just sitting at home in New York State waiting for a deal to be made by front office to ship him off somewhere. Like, what's your guys' thoughts on that, of like not reporting back to your OHL team? Or like, is it disrespectful, or is it like you think you're too good, or like you should just be privileged to be playing hockey? I think like a lot of guys get cut, and like it's their dream to play in major junior in this country. But let me know what you guys think.
You know what? I am disappointed in the Sudbury Wolves in this situation. Okay, so here's what we don't know. We do not know what the San Jose Sharks are advising Quentin Musty to do. Right? If you went to an NHL team and you said, hey, by the way, I'm requesting a trade and I may not play for months, most of the teams are going to be like, no, go back to junior. We just want to watch you play this year. Right? So for San Jose to be okay with this means that he went to San Jose, or San Jose came to him and they said, hey, we want you to move. Or he said, hey, I'm not really happy in Sudbury. What do you guys think about me requesting a trade? Like, through his agent, or like, I'm sure this conversation happened, because now he's not playing hockey, and San Jose had to know this, right? But what I hate is the Sudbury Wolves statement. We will, pursue all options and look for the best available trade if it comes forward. But Quentin is more than welcome to come back anytime he wants to. No, F that, man. Okay, kid, you don't want to play for us? If we get a trade for you, fair enough. You know what? We're not looking that hard. And if not, have fun not playing this year. That would be my response.
They could release his they could release him.
No, I wouldn't release him. I would just basically blackballs him. Because now it tells everyone, every good prospect going forward, the Sudbury Wolves are a pushover. Now, if you're a star player and you don't want to play for them, just hold out. They won't force you to come back. They'll give you any opportunity you want to come back, and they'll trade you if you ask for it. But there's no guarantee. You can do whatever you want. So to me, that's a joke. Sudbury just needed to be like, oh, we're aware of what he wants. A team has to be interested in him, and no one has brought us a package what we're thinking. He has now severely diminished his value requesting a trade. So we're probably not going to accept one until he comes and plays for us again. And if he does not return to us by this time next week, let's say, right? Like from the time they're releasing the statement, he will not be welcome back to play with us. He will not be traded, and he will not play hockey this season. Like, that is the stance these teams need to take. I just don't get why he's not, or why they're not. Sorry, Sudbury.
I don't know. I also feel like younger kids, this generation, feel like they're more entitled. So maybe he just has like attitude problems.
Well, how many requested trades is that this year? That's above 5 from all-star players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was just alluding to earlier, like Colby Barlow from Owen Sound, like he demanded a trade at Owen Sound. Now let's not, use the word demanded, but in a report that I saw online, it said demanded, but I'm sure he just requested.
Well,
not a harsh word.
But you said he wasn't reporting.
Same thing as Quinton. He said, "I'm not coming until you move me." But
Owen Sound handled that very good. Like they got a good package for Colby Barlow, and they shipped him off to Oshawa. So there you go, done deal, right? But
I kind of want to say this too. Like it's not really an offense to Musty because he is a first-round NHL draft pick, but it's like what Colby Barlow has done in the OHL versus what Quinton Musty has done in the NHL, the OHL, both of them in the OHL. Like, there's a big difference. Like, Colby Barlow is one of the best OHL players in the last 10 years. Of course, teams wanted him. Musty has been a good enough player to be a first-round draft pick, but there's a lot of first-round draft picks that come out of the OHL and don't turn out to be in. So, I don't see his standpoint. Go play. Show teams that you're worth it. Get value for yourself.
It is the most prospect drafted league in the entire world.
Yeah.
There's a stat that I will put up on the screen right now that, I think, out of the CHL, the OHL ranks number 1 out of any league where prospects come out of. So it's awesome to see.
Absolutely it is. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my take on it.
There's a certain attitude you got to take with it too. Like you can't be a total rock star about it and just expect the world to revolve around you and just not report to your team. Like that, showing that like you're not a good teammate. All right. If you're a great player that you say you are, you're going to show up, work hard, keep your head down and try to help your team win no matter what. Right. That's just unsportsmanlike, I think, because that's just selfish. Absolutely selfish. Could have been dealt with so much better than that.
And I kind of want to walk this line fine because this is meant to no disrespect, but like if you go back a couple years, right? Like let's look at the Johnny Gaudreau situation in Calgary, right? And then the Tkachuk one immediately after that, and then you have the Cutter Gauthier situation. You now have the Rucker McGroarty situation. Now you have Barlow and you have Musty, right? Like it started with NHL guys, right? Saying they weren't happy with their team and Tkachuk saying, I'm not coming back, move me, right? If you want assets, you got to move me. So they
Pierre-Luc Dubois is another good example too.
Pierre-Luc Dubois. And then you go to the NHL prospect level. Cutter Gauthier, nope, Philly, I'm not showing up. I want to go somewhere else. Rucker McGroarty, nope, Winnipeg, I'm not showing up. Send me somewhere else, right? And now all of a sudden these kids are coming back from NHL camps to the OHL and they're like, nope, see you later. Get me somewhere else. And Musty will be moved. I just don't think he's worth as much as he thinks he is.
Well, guess what? I saw something that if you weren't professional and drafted by an NHL team or had an American League contract signed, then he would be able to be eligible to play in the NCAA starting in the 25-26 fall season.
Yeah.
But because he's an NHL, draft pick now, he wouldn't be able to. He's ineligible. But that's another thing I wanted to bring up on today's episode, boys, is that the NCAA is now voting here real quick here about if they're going to allow CHL players to be eligible to play. So that'll be awesome to see. I'm hoping that goes through because there's a lot of guys that finished out their careers here in the Canadian Hockey League and just kind of went nowhere. So it's going to be a real opportunity, especially guys in the Western Hockey League. So it'll be awesome to see.
You know who this benefits the most, though, is the players in the NHL teams. Because, so here's the first thing, right? Now, the one league that's going to get hurt the most is the USHL. That league.
And the Canadian Junior A teams. Like the
And the
BC
Canadian Junior A teams, yeah. Those
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
But this is also Hockey Canada wanting to take out BCHL for leaving, right?
True.
They've been quiet, too.
they-
The league's been
yeah.
quiet about this.
And so the USHL is going to get hurt, BCHL is going to get hurt. But what the best value is that players now can come to the best development league at 16 and 17 years old and play there for at least those 2 seasons. And if, say, they don't get drafted and they're on their way out of the league, they can now go and they can go to a 4-year scholarship that would take them past their WHL or CHL eligibility of age 20. They can now go play till they're 22, and maybe in that development period, they're good enough to land an AHL pro contract or a PTO contract with an NHL team, and they sign it, right? Like, this now opens up a lot more in terms of the development, I find, and for NHL teams too, because how annoying is it all the time that a guy's not 20 years old and he's got to go back? It's the reverse syndrome, right? Like, now he has to go back to the WHL, and he scored 125 points there last year, right? Like, how does that benefit that guy? Okay, well, guess what? Now he can go to college, and he can go play a season against adults. That's a different game, right, that they'll appreciate. So I think that that's something that will benefit the NHL, the AHL, and these kids all the way around.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really noticed how well this could work and how much this could benefit everybody. And they're starting to see the benefits. And I'm excited to see.
Me too. And I think part of this too, like we just have to remember, this just goes down to business decision. Like, the only reason that WHL guys aren't allowed to go is because, like, the BCHL specifically signed agreements with NCAA that only their players could go there a long time ago, right? Like, that's where this came from. And the WHL became a draft league, and you're supposed to be amateurs. So, BCHL, you can just go try out for any team that invites you, right? It doesn't matter. You can get 10 invites from 10 teams. You can go to every camp and try out for every team. You can't do that in the WHL, this OHL, the QMJHL. So I think that that's, way back when they said, no, this is the separation. Our guys can go wherever they want. Then they can sign whatever college they want. Now that the BCHL has done their own thing and they're not partnered with Hockey Canada, who had that agreement to keep it that way, now they're like, we'll just do our own thing.
Yeah, they're kind of screwed, in my opinion. Most junior A teams now are really not going to succeed at all, I would say, because most junior A teams in Canada are just used for the players that don't play major junior. But now with all those teams or all the players leaving major junior maybe a couple years early because they have that college eligibility, it's going to open the door for those junior A players to play major junior, and there's just going to be less players coming through the doors out of junior A or into junior A.
You're right.
A huge revolving door.
Yeah, well, what do you say, gents? Should we... Oh, sorry, you got one more thing, Dally?
I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to 2 former Blazers that actually went to college hockey, is Logan Barros and Ashton Furster. And I just want to give a shout-out to Logan. He actually scored a hat trick his first game with the University of Saskatchewan, so congrats to him on a great start.
As a defensive defenseman, going out and getting a hat trick?
Right? Former captain of the Blazers, yeah.
Yeah.
Always loved Logan Barros. He worked so hard, and he was a good blue liner.
Yeah, good player for the Blazers. Like one of those depth D-men in the NHL, just steady.
It was crazy he went undrafted. Like, I'm hoping at least a pro team, scouts him, maybe signs an American Hockey League deal. But yeah, you never know.
Never know.
Door's still open, right? Just started college sport, so.
Absolutely. And well, here's the thing: if this goes through, like we're saying, his eligibility should now be open from him to go from Canadian college to American college. which would be a big step in terms of development, right?
I think you could play till what, you're 23, 24 then?
Yeah, you get 4 years of eligibility. So
there you go, right?
He'll burn one. Like it's just college eligibility across the board. So he's burning one this year, right? So he'll get 3 more years of eligibility in an American college if he's allowed to switch, which hopefully he will. All right, well, let's get into it here, gentlemen. Our NHL standing predictions. Let's just go through the divisions here a little bit, and who we think is going to rise, who we think is going to fall. We don't have to talk about every team and where we think they're all going to be placed. Let's just talk about a couple teams we think are mainstays, maybe a team that's on the rise, and who we think is going to fall from last year to this year. So let's start with the Atlantic. Who is your guys' like 1 or 2 top teams? Dakota sent me a list. He couldn't be here tonight, but he sent me his list, so I'll read off some of his too. But yeah, who's your thoughts on the Atlantic Division? Kind of the top 2 teams. Who's kind of on the bubble, and who you think is, maybe was a playoff team last year that's not going to be a playoff team this year?
Well, I'll start it off, and I'll say that my top team is probably going to be... I hate to say it, but my top team is probably going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic Division, and then probably the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then the bubble team would be the Boston Bruins. I like how they're built. I like that D-core. It's the tallest and heaviest D-core in the NHL, and they still have Jeremy Swayman, which is very good for them. But their forward core is obviously lacking now. Like, they're old. It's an older team, and to be honest, I just don't know if the forward core is enough to make it past maybe the first round. I don't know. They just don't really have that oomph anymore as the big bad Bruins. But the one team that I think that did make the playoffs last year that might not. I don't know.
The only one left is Florida and the Atlantic.
I've completely forgot about Florida. They're there. Well then then maybe Boston might not make it. Yeah. I completely forgot about the Florida Panthers. Yeah, then Boston definitely screw them.
They're out.
Toronto, you know what? They're probably still going to make it. I'll probably say Florida 1, Toronto 2.
Yeah, that's accurate. What about you, Dally?
Yeah, I mean, with a division full, or one of the weaker divisions, I guess I should start off with.
What? It's like the strongest division in hockey.
I beg to differ that the Central's pretty stacked, my boy. But let me get into it.
Okay, we'll break that down later. But you are so wrong.
Let me get into it. All right. Got to go with top contenders. All right, Florida Panthers. They didn't lose a whole lot after last season. I mean, Brendan Montour on the blue line, that was a huge loss for them, going to Seattle. However, I do say that they are going to light it up again this year. We all saw it in the game 1 of the season, right? 6-2, stomping of the Boston Bruins. The home fans in the FLA Live Arena are screaming, "We want Swayman," just days after that his deal finally went through. Yeah. But, they were ready out of the gates, all right? And now let me switch it to Boston, who I think is going to kind of fall this year. Now, you're losing your 2 starting goaltenders who kind of shared the load last season. Now, losing Linus Ullmark to the Ottawa Senators, also in the same division, by the way, who I think is another non-playoff team again this season.
Which is another reason why the Atlantic Division is the most competitive, because one more team just getting that much better.
Yeah.
I think that Ottawa's problems didn't really lie in their goaltending, because, Anton Forsberg was pretty solid.
Korpisalo and Forsberg were Swiss cheese on ice.
What are you talking about today, what do you want, and where can I get some?
Ottawa. Okay, here's my problem, though, is that Ottawa never really had...
Dude, Jacob Chikrin was Swiss cheese. They got rid of Chikrin. They got rid of Korpisalo.
They shouldn't have never traded from Arizona.
Traded who? Oh, yeah, well, that was a mistake. But they thought that they could save him. And obviously...
They haven't had a decent goalie since Craig Anderson. Let's leave it at that thought, all right?
Now they have Allmark won the Vezina 2 years ago. This is like the
But
best
Allmark's
goalie they've had, period.
my brother in Christ. He hasn't played a full season yet. The season is young. It just started, but I'm just saying that they haven't had a solid franchise goaltender such as Craig Anderson, and that was how many years ago? But let me just get on to what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Anyways, so those are two teams that I think are falling, but I do think that the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers will be the number 1 and 2 teams. I mean, if Joseph Wall can stay healthy with the Maple Leafs, that's perfect. They'll probably, backstop him to a 1 and 2 spot. They added a couple new pieces. They lost Ilya Lyubushkin this offseason to the Dallas Stars, but they added a guy from your team, Day. Sorry, he played for a couple teams after that, Washington and Carolina. But Max Pacioretty signing a PTO in training camp with the Maple Leafs and got a guaranteed roster spot. Now, it's kind of nice to see that he's finally got a solidified spot on a roster, and hopefully he can do good with the Maple Leafs.
He scored their first goal of the year.
Exactly, right? So, and a stomping of New Jersey, I might add, too. So, yeah they got shut out by your Habs their game 1, but they rebounded.
Yeah, they did. I actually wrote about this morning in class. All 3 of their first goals were scored by guys that were fighting for roster spots just a week ago.
So it's basically crickets from their superstars, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they have no points still, the big guys, all of them. But who are the 3 guys, Dave?
McMahon, Tavares, and was it Lorentz?
Oh, Lorentz, yeah, and Pacioretty. Do you mean Pacioretty instead of Tavares?
Yeah. McMahon.
Yeah, it was Lorentz.
What did I say?
You said
what did
Tavares.
I say?
You said Tavares.
Oh, he scored one of the goals. Yeah, but no, it was Pacioretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Toronto Maple Leafs faced off against former head coach Sheldon Keefe and his new squad, the New Jersey Devils. It didn't take long for the Buds to get on the board, putting up 3 goals in the first by guys that were all fighting for roster spots just a week ago.
Nice. Listen to this.
It's like a campfire story.
It's like he's going to university for this, folks. Listen to that.
As if he isn't trying to get a degree in this kind of field.
What do you mean?
That was great. Let's go to Dakota, though. Toronto 1, Florida 2. His division sleepers are kind of crazy. Buffalo, Detroit, and then Tampa is the 3rd. So Buffalo and Detroit are kind of wild sleepers. We'll have to get his thoughts on that in the future. But I think, those are decent picks. For me, I'm kind of going to go crazy with it. I'm not going to lie. I think Florida and Toronto are, Florida's going to run away with this division. I'm putting it that way. Florida's running away with this division. I think Joseph Wall is an extremely tough sell as a number 1 goaltender, and I think he's going to struggle this season. Toronto's getting in the playoffs, no doubt about it.
Well, we're waiting.
I didn't hear Tampa Bay. That's crazy.
Nope. No, you did not, because if you look at Tampa's roster makeup, this is probably the worst team they've had since early 2010s. I'm not lying when I say I have Tampa Bay at 7th in the Atlantic Division.
Oh yeah,
this year.
And you're sticking strong with it too.
I am.
Who's behind them?
Yeah.
Who's behind them?
There's only Montreal, but that's not Montreal's fault.
I know.
But that's where you want Montreal to be as a Montreal fan.
No.
Why? You guys need draft picks.
It's not about the rebuild anymore.
Yeah, but listen, if
this team
they get
good enough to win, if they get better,
but good enough
if Calgary
to face Florida in the first round and get destroyed, what's the point on that draft pick?
All right, fuck it, let's lose again.
Hey man, listen.
All the way to wild card.
You guys got Calgary's 2025 first, right? So the stipulation is if they tank this season and get first overall, it goes to you. But if it's anywhere in the draft lottery from 2nd to 10, they get to keep the pick. Now, what are your thoughts on that, Dave? Do you like that stipulation or nah? What are you feeling here?
That was a different stipulation. So it was similar to that, but that was if Calgary didn't get Florida's pick, but Calgary did get Florida's pick. So now it's only Montreal gets it if it's the higher of Calgary or Florida's, depending which one doesn't finish in the top 10. So, like, if Calgary finishes in the top 10 draft picks, then Montreal automatically gets Florida's. But if Calgary finishes 11 to 32, they get whichever one is higher. So if Florida somehow sucks and they end up at pick 12 and Calgary's pick 14, Montreal gets that pick. But if Calgary lands top 10, they guarantee to get their pick. But what it was, Dallas, is you were right. So there was a stipulation that if Florida's pick didn't come to Calgary this season, then yes, the only protection on it was that if Calgary gets the number 1 overall pick, they kept their pick. Any picks from 2 to 32, it went to Florida.
And there you have it, folks. NHL draft.
Not Florida.
And there you have it, folks. NHL draft conditional picks presented by Gamedaytarps, brought to you by Ryley Harrison.
I try. But I'm going to finish my division. So Tampa, I have 7th. I have Boston 6th. So that leaves the Ottawa Senators, who I am putting 3rd in the Atlantic Division this season. And I am actually going to throw the Buffalo Sabres 5th. And I'm doing Detroit because I think Detroit is going to trade for a real starting goaltender. That is my guess. And if Detroit gets a starting goaltender, you give Mo Seider, Dylan Larkin an actual goaltender behind them, I think this team could get in the playoffs.
You're
100%.
Senators above the Detroit Red Wings?
Yes, because I'm picking it based off of that they already have their goaltender already.
That's fucking wild.
Season. If we're talking about, if I'm talking the difference of 5 wins here, that's 10 points. That's a big difference.
That
right?
is true.
Like, that's all I'm talking about. I'm just thinking that it's going to be like 5-win differential from 3rd to 4th, and it's going to be like 99 points to 89 points. Like, that's going to be the realm. But I think I don't. So Buffalo's going to be out. I only have 4 teams from the Atlantic making it. Florida, Toronto, Ottawa, Buffalo. Ottawa, Detroit, not Buffalo. Those are my 4. That's my guess. And I have Tampa, like Vasilevsky, he played lights out tonight, but he can't do that all year. Like Tampa was under a barrage for half the game tonight from Carolina. They're just lucky that Carolina doesn't have a guy who knows how to score. Like they lost Gensel and they lost all these guys. So, and you know what? I'll even say this. Tampa was 1 line. 4 goals tonight. Point from Kucherov and Hedman. Kucherov from Gensel and Hedman. Kucherov from Gensel and Hedman. Kucherov from Gensel and Hedman. Like, that's all it was, right? So Tampa's, if their 1 line gets shut down, they had no depth scoring. Their defense looks so bad outside of Hedman. Like, I don't see Tampa making it. Okay, Dave, let's jump to the other Eastern Division, the Metro. Who you got as your top? Who you got falling? Who's your bubble team?
Well, I think obviously at the top, you got to go with. I'm going to go with Carolina.
Yep.
A lot of people are going to go with New York Rangers. But I don't know. I don't know if Shesty plays the same after denying that contract and all the pressure and all the media that's circulating around that. I love the way Rod Brindamore coaches that team.
True.
The Carolina Hurricanes are so structured, and they play such a great game, and especially once it comes to the playoffs, Rod Brindamore knows how to make that team play playoff hockey. And sure. I think I have to go 1-2 Carolina, New York. The bubble team is definitely going to be the Philadelphia Flyers. And the team that's not making it is definitely the Caps.
Yeah, I see that for sure. What about you, Dally, for the Metro?
Gentlemen, I got to go with the safe choice, all right? We got to take it to the Big Apple. Got to go with the blue shirts, baby. New York Rangers. Now, that is the safe choice. You know, they've been good the last decade, all right? Like, they've made playoffs every single year, and they just keep getting better and better. Like, they got their young players finally starting to break out. Like, you know, Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere. Like, they've gotten a second chance, and they've been proving themselves. you got the young guys stepping up like Keandre Miller, Will Cooley, and new kid on the block, Matt Rempe. So I'm, as a Pens fan, I don't care to say that, I think the New York Rangers are one of the hottest teams in the NHL, and they have the safest bet to win the Metro this season. Bubble team, Christ almighty. I got to go with Day on this, but Keystone rival, Philadelphia's Flyers, man. I feel like there's something brewing there, something special. So, hate to say it, but I think they'll be a bubble team this year to make playoffs. But my second one, though, but
he's debating Pittsburgh, gentlemen. He's debating Pittsburgh.
I'm not debating Pittsburgh. I got to go with Carolina.
Debating
the Metro, Carolina Hurricanes.
For what? Win the Metro?
No, the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's 3. That's fucking 3, dude. You're 0-3. 3 hot takes. Like,
no.
Takes. Everything coming
you're
over your mouth
misunderstanding.
tonight is just a hot take.
Boss man, hey.
No, Dave,
boss,
I'm with him. I'm with him.
I was gonna say, boss man. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Number 1 in the Metro, Blue Shirts, just right behind them at number 2, Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, I thought that you were saying they were your bubble team.
No. Flyers were. Flyers were my bubble team.
My bad.
Yeah, I was just going by my top 2 teams and then my bubble team.
Well, I guess I'm gonna upset you guys. So here's my thing. I think that Carolina is not that good of a team this year, but the Metropolitan is so far and away the worst division in the league. It is crazy.
It's weak. It is weak.
I don't think in any of the 3 other divisions with Frederick Anderson as the starting goaltender in Carolina, I don't think that the Hurricanes make the playoffs in any other division. And the same thing can be said about the Islanders. But because they're in this horrendous division, both teams are going to make it. Rangers are 1, Devils are 2 for me. My bubble teams, I guess, are Carolina and Philly. I'll make it. I'll say I think Carolina is going to finish 4th in the division, and Philly's going to be right behind them. So Philly could jump them and become a playoff team. And my fallers are the Caps and Penguins. Like, they're just showing that their trajectory – obviously the Capitals haven't played yet, but their trajectory is just declining.
Why do you think I didn't argue with you, Ryley? I personally sound like a broken record anytime that Pittsburgh is brought up on this podcast. You know me, big Pens fan, but I admit it every time. Like, they're not competitive. Like, just stop pretending. Their dynasty is over. Let's rebuild. So yeah, they're a falling team in my category. That they definitely will be finishing near I wouldn't say last, but they'll be finishing near the bottom of the Metro, I think.
I respect Pittsburgh for treating Crosby and Malkin and Letang better than Tampa did Stamkos, though.
Hell yeah. That. Mad respect.
I completely forgot about the Devils.
Yeah, Devils are good. Dakota has Rangers and Devils, and then his sleepers are actually the Capitals and the Hurricanes. So sleepers to do good. Those are his 2 sleeper teams.
All right, Capitals. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
They had an okay off season. Like, they brought in Logan Thompson, they brought in PLD, and they brought in Jacob Chikrin. So we'll see if that accounts to anything. Hopefully, it elevates their game and gets them some wins. But I think they're just there to help Ovi catch Wayne Gretzky's goal record, right? So
true.
We'll see which way it swings, right?
Yeah. All right, let's jump to the Central. I want to debate this, though, because, I still think the Atlantic is the best division in hockey. And the Central is the best in the West. But, any league any division that has Chicago in it, it's close. I would say with Utah, maybe they're better than the Atlantic, barely. But it's close.
Dude, Central is stacked, my guy, all right? Let's get into this. I'm pumped.
Yes.
Stacked.
Go for it, Dave. Start us off with your Central. Here, I'll name the teams just in case so you don't miss any. Winnipeg, Nashville, Utah, St. Louis, Minnesota, Dallas, Chicago, Colorado.
Here you go, Dallas. Dallas finishes first. Friend of the show, Logan Stankoven.
Yeah.
And Nashville, Jonathan Marchessault, Steven Stamkos, Saros once he gets back. They're deadly. Philip Forsberg.
Yeah.
Oh, deadly. 1-2. My bubble team. The Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
They just don't have the goaltending.
They don't.
Have the forwards. They have the D. They don't have the goaltending. And the team that made it last year that isn't going to make it this year is going to be the Jets. They're too young. They've got guys like Rasmus Kupari, Gabe Velarde, like Cole Perfetti that are going to be playing like top 6 minutes all year long, and I don't know. They're too young of a team. They do have Connor Hellebuck, but I mean their D-core is depleted. They got Neil Pionk throwing hippies on Connor Bedard, but that's about it.
That he did. What about you, Dally? Break it down. Your
Buddy,
division.
I gotta stick with it true, boys. I gotta go with the team that I was named after in '99. Stanley Cup champs, Dallas Stars back in the day. They are one of the hottest teams in the NHL, and they're one of the favorites to win it all this year. And I think they got the Central locked, and it's already game 1 of the season, right? But they're looking too fucking good, gentlemen. Like, you got up and coming guys, Maverick Bork, friend of the show, Logan Stankoven. You got Wyatt Johnston. You got Thomas Harley, who is arguably going to be one of the best D-man in the NHL coming in within the next few years. Like,
Yeah.
and then you got, returning vets. You've got Mason Marchment, Jamie Benn. You got Dadonov, and you got guys like Tyler Seguin. So watch out, guys. Like, Dallas is the team to beat in the West, all right? And then I also have Smashville, all right? They're trying to punch their ticket to their first Stanley Cup final since 2017. And by fuck, boys, I think this is the year, all right? If they can get by Dallas, it'll be by a miracle. But they got guys like Brady Shea that came in. And then you got guys like you said, Day, like Jonathan Marchessault, and the big ticket from your Tampa Bay Lightning. Sorry to say I, but fuck, they got Steven Stamkos too. But yeah, they're looking scary as well. For me, a sleeper team, I think a team that's can be still competitive with them is the Winnipeg Jets. All right, like they're still staying strong. They still got most of their core. They're quarterbacked by one of the best goalies in the league and former Vezina winner Connor Hellebuck. Like, he's still staying strong. Christ, he's still doing good for me in fantasy. Let me fucking tell you. Shutout first game of the season, 6-0 statement win against the former Western Conference champions Edmonton Oilers last season. Like, what a way to open the NHL season for the 24-25 season. Those are my 3 picks for the Central.
I'll go with Dakota's, and then I'll go with mine. Dakota is Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado. Those are his 3, and his sleepers are between Nashville and Minnesota. I just want to be honest here. You know what, Dally? I'm getting more on your side as I look at this division. I'm backtracking myself here a little bit.
Fuck, he's backpedaling. Oh.
I'm backpedaling. I'm just saying, if the divisions were 1-32 in the playoffs, right, for who makes it, if we're being honest here, I think everyone but Chicago would make the playoffs.
That's crazy.
Right? Like, so say if it was just like every team was involved, right, 1-32, so 16 teams make it regardless of standing. I literally think Jets, Preds, Utah, St. Louis, Minnesota, Dallas, and Colorado all would make it in that group. Over some of the Eastern teams we just talked about, I have more faith in those teams over Carolina, over the Islanders, over Philly, Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus. I have more faith in those teams over Boston, Tampa, Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit, Montreal, right? Like, that's a lot better teams. And for me,
the West. Sorry, Raj. I was just saying, the West has been more favorable the last few seasons. I'm sure you would have noticed too. Like, there's a lot of heavy hitters out there out West. So,
yeah,
and you only have a few teams that are like, hit and miss. Obviously your bottom feeders right now, your California teams. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
So I'm actually saying 5 teams are making it from the Central. My number 1 in the division I'm going Dallas. All right, I agree with that. Then I'm going the Jets. I'm going the Preds. I'm going Utah 4. And I'm going Minnesota 5. I think Colorado is falling out just due to injuries, goaltending, like nothing that they're doing necessarily. They hit the wall that every team hits. They've hit the cap wall. They're strapped, right?
And they got to sign Mikko Rantanen, man. There's been zero talks with an extension negotiations with them.
Because what if they sign him to a huge ticket and Landeskog comes back? All of a sudden, they're $20 million over the cap next year, right?
Yep, they've already used all their IR money. You're done.
Exactly.
Why do you think I didn't? Why do you think I didn't have Colorado in any of my Central Division predictions? Because guess what? Even I know it that Colorado is kind of coming on the decline. They're still a juggernaut out west. Don't get me wrong, but their goaltending is pretty weak. Like Georgiev's got to get it figured out. You took a massive blow on the blue line, shipping out Byram to Buffalo and losing Sean Walker, his replacement, in free agency. And who did you replace him with? Eric Brandstrom. That now is gone too. And who did we get? Tucker Poolman and who else did we just get too?
I don't remember.
Shillington and
Johnny Ludwig.
Yeah, Johnny Ludwig off waivers from Pitt.
Hamlet's boy.
But what up? But yeah, I'm just saying, like, the defense core isn't what it used to be in Colorado. Like, it used to be shut down. So time will tell this season. Colorado's kind of on the decline. Sorry, on the decline.
On the decline. Let's try and wrap up these standings. Let's quickly fly through the Pacific. Vegas, Calgary, LA, Vancouver, San Jose, Anaheim, Seattle, Edmonton. That's the division. Daeden, start us off with your Pacific division.
Vegas 1.
Yep.
Edmonton 2.
Yep.
Canucks 3.
Yep.
Kings, bubble team. I don't know if they're gonna make it this year. They're kind of my bubble. They're kind of my bubble team, and the team that I don't know. Like, I just don't think they will make it, but there's a chance. And yeah, I just the Canucks, or not the Canucks, the Kraken and Sharks, they'll be at the bottom again, and the Ducks might surprise some people.
Well, I gotta agree with Day. The Sharks and Kraken. I mean, couple nice additions, but I kind of still feel like they're gonna be bottom feeders. No pun intended, right? Fucking
Suckerfish.
Yeah, one of them is an animal, the other's a fucking mythical creature. But yeah, I got the top of the Pacific. I got the Canucks flying high here.
Wow, nice.
Right? Big ticket punch with Jake DeBrusk coming, over from Boston. So I think he's going to be a good winger for them. Locking up Pettersson last year, like, that was one of the biggest talking points we had on the pod last year, boys, was what was going to happen. Like, Pettersson, like, could he walk, or was he going to get what he wanted with his agent, right? It was between him and Nylander at the same time. Who could have got more money? So it was nice to see that he got locked down in a nice contract extension. Number 2, got to go with Vegas, all right? Tomas Hertl, like, big addition. Noah Hannafin, big addition on that blue line for them last trade deadline. So number 3, got to put Edmonton in there somewhere, they'll be back, no question. It's Edmonton, they're on a hot streak right now. Last few seasons, they're hungry. They want to go to the finals again. So sleeper team in the Pacific, though, got to go with the Kings on this, right? Like, they're still relevant. They're competitive. They're still competitive. So I think quarterbacked by Anze Kopitar there, Drew Doughty, I think they still got a good run in them.
Me, I'm gonna go Edmonton 1, Vancouver 2, Vegas 3, and I'm saying Vegas and LA are my sleepers because you never know who's gonna be out, and the rest aren't gonna make it. That's my guess.
All right, and I think to wrap things up here, I think we'll move on to our Calder predictions on who we think individually will win the 2024-25 Calder Trophy. Now, who do you gentlemen have taking it home this season.
Start us off, Ryley.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm going with the smart pick. I'm going Macklin Celebrini. I just think already his 2 points in his first game. He's on a team. Here's the thing. How many of these rookies are on teams that are winning? And maybe their ice time will be sheltered in some games. Macklin Celebrini is given the reins to just go suck and play offense. So for me, if he could end up being a minus 25, minus 30, but scoring 70 points as a rookie and just having a great year and winning the Calder that way, right? Torts has Michkov on a bit of a leash as the season goes on, especially if Philly's getting close to the playoffs. Lane Hudson's probably very similar. Lane Hudson is probably very similar in Montreal, where he's kind of got a free reign just to be himself.
Well, he's already on. He's the quarterback in the power play already.
Exactly.
Crazy.
But defensemen rarely win it. Like, they have to be so special.
Yeah.
Which he is, but they have to be more special than the rest of the draft class.
Like, he's gonna put up 70 plus.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing, so like any of the Anaheim rookies, I just think Anaheim's too young. Like Cutter Gauthier, there's just not enough mature veterans around them to help them get over like the 50, 60 point mark, which is really going to help them get beyond. It won't be a Zellweger. Mintyukov's not eligible, right? So I think that Macklin Celebrini has the most green light of all the rookies to do whatever he needs to do to succeed. And that's why I think I'm going to take him.
Yeah, well, I think I have to go plain and simple. Friend of the show, Logan Stankoven. Like
Nice.
you said, you kind of mentioned maybe the cons of being on a winning team, maybe being put on a leash by your coach come playoff time. But I mean, look at Stankoven. Look at what he did last year.
Yeah, already this year, 3 points in game 1.
Exactly. He's got the accolades to show it. He was leading the league in points in the AHL. Came in. We talked about this with Colton Davies in an episode. What was it, 39? Yeah, and we talked about Stankoven, how he had all those accolades, and man, I think he's just going to do it again. He's on such a great team there in Dallas, and
True.
Yeah, big season coming.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one day. I got to go with Logan Stankoven on the Calder Trophy winner too, because let's be honest, all the accolades that you've mentioned, put that with also one of the best hockey IQ, playmaking abilities out there too. Like, I was watching the Stars game the other night, and that pass that he lifted his stick and went right to Mason Marchment on the forehand.
Yeah.
Right? Because Logan would have shot it on his backhand, and he knew to raise his stick last second, so Mason Marchment next to him could take a nice clean shot and scored a goal. And not only to mention that he had 3 points, so 3 assists against Nashville in that game, but yeah, like, Logan's got one of the best hockey IQs out there, and already starting the season off strong with 3 points. Like, he is in for a great rookie year, and I can call it his rookie year because, like we said, he is eligible for the Calder Trophy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be awesome to see. Yeah, by 1 game, so it's perfect. Yeah. So he had an incredible run towards the end of last year with the Dallas Stars, and this is only sign of things to come, great things to come for the Dallas Stars. So, yeah, we're all hoping that Logan Stankoven can bring it home.
And here I was saying Dallas was off the Dak was off the rocker with this. He picked Stankoven too, and now I'm the guy off the rocker by only picking Celebrini. He said Stankoven and Michkov. Those are his 2 picks, which are both great picks.
That's exactly who I would have went with too.
Like, I honestly thought Daeden was going to go Michkov. Dallas, I didn't know what angle you were going to go. I kind of thought maybe Stankoven, but I knew that Dak did Stankoven. But either way, they're all great picks. I just think, like, and the thing about Stankoven is, though, like, if Dallas tells him to start playing more defensively and they don't care about his points, you could really see his dip off for the betterment of the team. Where, like,
he could play both ends of the ice. He could play all 200 feet. He's a great defensive player, but also extremely well offensive, right? Like, he gets in there dirty, like within, like we were saying, like 5 feet in front of the net, and he's just taking, chip shots. And he had an incredible preseason too. Like, did you see, like, his toe drags? There was some nasty goals there, like just
Stick
incredible. Oh yeah, insane.
Well, gentlemen, I think that's an awesome episode, episode 42 of the Game Day Tarts podcast. Just want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Gamedaytarps. Follow us on all social medias at the same handle. Follow Daeden at Blue Nose Hockey and Wilbs Puck, or Wilbs at Wilbs Puck, sorry. And we'll see you guys in episode 43 of Game Day Tarts podcast.